Picture this. You are playing a marksman as a mid laner, with smite, but your farm is on par with a drunk faker and you are 4 to 5 levels higher than most people in the game, which means every interaction you have with an enemy player looks something like this until you end the game with a damaged wiener that compared to the other guys, has women saying.
Whose horse is that?
All because Riot failed to account for something like this happening. You see, the company recently must have teamed up with Geico in an effort to make jungling so easy a caveman can do it by coming up with this totally original idea that Pokemon definitely never had, to adopt and train little critters that evolve over time until a fully stacked one gives you crazy bonuses, and thus the thought of multiple people on one team having an evolved Pokemon seems almost unfair. So Riot made it so if you want to have a little Bulbasaur of your own follow you around while laning, great, but you won't get any gold for minions so that everyone doesn't adopt one, but that's only up until 15 minutes. So my good friend Wholesome Gwen, who you may remember from my climbing series, showed me this strat that players in his Grandmaster games are running, and I will explain the idea using one of his games. You can queue any lane, but mid seems to be the crop's cream and early laning phase is typically pretty much the same except you have smite, so you can make sure the hoodlums in the wheelchairs never get missed. If you are a good player you may even defy the rules of rock paper scissors by somehow beating a rock as scissors in a 1v1, but that's certainly not required. When it's getting close to 15 minutes you start pinging your jungler's stacks and communicating your intentions because you will be visiting Professor Oak for your own starter Pokemon soon. At this point, your jungler has his items stacked and can focus on ganking or getting full gold from your lane, while you can power farm because you have levels and items to clear camps super fast. As a mid you will also be ahead of the enemy junglers, so you can start stealing their camps and using your advantage in the forest to get fed. You start getting gold and XP exponentially faster than everyone in the game until you transform your item within 10 minutes of getting it. This gives you 2 fully charged smites on your team for objectives and all the benefits that come from stacking your own to the point where you can 1v9 games, and today I'm going to show that even in my piss pit elo, this is embarrassingly overpowered, which goes to show you can learn a lot from seeing what high elo players like Wholesome Gwen are doing, which is why I use FaceCheck for the latest trends. FaceCheck is this handy dandy app that fits right next to the pile of buggy code Riot calls a client, and I use it religiously. For example, I'm trying to book a direct flight to hell for myself, so I picked up Vayne Top, and the app tells me things like who I should be banning as well as the most successful builds and runes, which can be imported directly into the client just by pushing one button. I love being a peeping Tom on the pros, which tickles my fancy knowing that this tab can show me what all the super high elo players are building, which in this case ended up swaying me into taking Ghost. The know-it-alls are probably typing comments about how League is removing scouting tools in Champ Select to prevent nonsense like this, but once you are loaded into the match that data is still fully allowed, and FaceCheck does the in-game report the best. As you can see, everyone on the other team is a novice on their champ, which means I can have confidence in my own coworkers to stomp by my side as I'm having repetitive slap battles with Tentacle Tina until the game ends, and FaceCheck's post-game report tells me the areas I did well, but also what I should look to improve so that I can focus on my own gameplay instead of f***ing up and blaming others when I can't climb. So if this all sounds nice to you, check the link in the description to download it for free today. Alright, so I chose to play the Little Wicked Witch of the West because even without an ignite, as long as I can dodge the sleepy squid shitter, I can do the Papa Pumpkin take one more jump in combo for a solo bolo in lane. Then anyone in my piss pit elo knows that if I start taking my jungler's camps at any point, she will either AFK or start airdropping me pictures of a severed cow dick while running it down and telling me to drink bleach, so I try to communicate my 5-year plan early and then I continue playing lane like it's just a normal Wednesday. Which in this case is acting like the G Fuel is hitting the bladder and I need to sneak out for a quick piss in the shrubs while actually putting down a creeper camera so that I can tell when baby Rapunzel comes skipping back to lane so that I can request a Xanax and dream about her getting blown to little Barbie bits in my sleep. Then I decide to help up north because Galaxy Pluto's asshole Malphite is getting bullied by that Elon Musk Frankenstein baby, and I know after a long day of work he will want a beer rather than a bunny with a bomb fetish, so easy pickings for me. Turns out the enemy jungler is both a Kaisa and a total dumb shit, so when we get word that she's filling out the adoption paperwork for the 700-pound water cockroach we had our eyes on, it was like all hands on deck as I cut off the escape with a little parkour and Papa Pumpkin Mom I'm on a rampage now combo. So I jumped the gun on the whole buy an egg at 15 minutes thing, and I didn't want to tax my own jungler, so I'm in the unfriendly forest trying to suck off a red buff, which does indeed succeed, and then when the owner of said red buff comes in I illustrate why having solo lane XP at this point in the game makes this so stupid strong. Then I slapped around the reverse mitosising rocks, which set me up for a gank angle so unique I was being contacted by the Rift Kama Sutra for a cameo as I entered and introduced myself to the bubble-wrapped bride before front flipping my young rabbit balls onto her head, waiting for the moment to flash her bitch bind, which splattered her dead guts onto the number mumbler and ultimately set up the double as my friends took down swollen Elon. I figure I might as well finish off the Kaisa's camps with this chicken cool, only to run into the moron myself as she behaves like I do when I'm about to run into someone I kinda know in public and want to avoid the awkward conversation by acting like I didn't see them, but it doesn't work out for her quite as well. Then straight to my camps while acting in chat like my decision to rock smite was just an oopsie floopsie and not a calculated plan to absolutely invert every enemy asshole on the Rift. Also shout out to this Shiv, you'd think I knew her or it was a duo with how accommodating she was to this shenanigans as she told me her egg is done and so I could crack mine over her skillets moving forward, but the old grumpy grandpa wasn't exactly a fan of these innovative strats as he is a follow the meta take a shit before you shower only kind of guy, but he just had to wait and see the beauty that comes from this. But even without your jungler's support, which any league player knows you should definitely not count on, having such a level advantage from being mid, especially if you tap a few tits early, makes you waltz around in their forest like you own the place and they just pay rent. As you can see, within a few minutes of buying the egg I'm already half stacked and ready to benefit from the first round of evolution perks. This incidentally puts me in a prime position to insert it into the back when I see the bad guys off in river talking about how they remember when you could get a Chipotle burrito for under $7. Good times as I see the Triangle of Terror launch and I know just the thing that zoomed out 4-whore could use. Surprise, it's a murder and he's probably not happy, but he's also dead, so who gives a shit. I then get in my Halloween costume as the killer caboose, but I'm very calculated in my decisions, so let's just say Thomas the Tank Engine real quiet right about now as I chase the shrunken sleep doctor only to get cucked by my ult cancelling itself. But nothing like a bride bashing to cheer me up, plus a hop into homicide on the evasive Girl Scout immediately followed. But we had a Bulbasaur to evolve, so immediately back to business. As you can see, the clear speed at this point in the game makes things like chickens into dogs into frogs an easy breezy beautiful cover girl walk in the park on the way to overpowered status. Then I give my mid lane midgets a quick pep talk and say daddy's gotta do something unholy, so you little fuck babies push like hell while he's gone, and then I head into the danger because you can steal a buff right out from under their jungler, which I don't show correctly here as I remove her and cut the scene before showing what happens when you walk straight into CC right after. And one thing that I realized when doing this was the crazy amount of both XP and gold that is just constantly getting funneled into my asshole while buzzing through these camps. Every time I looked down I had thousands more in the bank, like I invested in Bitcoin back in 2015, which I realize now isn't the best time to make that comparison, but hey, at least I'm not trying to split push mid with no vision as a Kaisa jungle 3 levels down from the rest of the world. Am I right, backseaters? Am I freaking right? Side note, shit did get a little real when I was trying to Michael Vick the neighbor's dogs. As you can see, that toddler slipped a few Ambien up into my ass crack when I wasn't looking, and a very unsafe nap ensued, which put me in a predicament where I had to whip out the bucket list and cross off the whole plant of pumpkin on a plasma patty wide hip bitched head so that from the grave I can cash out on one more kill. We are now all crowding around what looks to be a wild Charizard spawning in the river womb, but I'm not the real jungler, so I'm thinking screw this objective nonsense. I'm close to my damn Venusaur, but our jungler is like who has 2 thumbs and sexually identifies as a dragon, and I think she tried to say this guy but was too exhausted, so Galaxy Gooch takes over by making them all jump, and my introvert ass is like, God fine, I guess I will come as long as I can just fire one auto and get paid for my appearance, to which everyone agrees. Update on the evolution: at 26 minutes I killed the last camp as a mid laner with smite, which prompted one of these. Which meant I had a companion for my kill crazes, plus I was 3 years older than everyone else on the Rift, so I felt like LeBron James dunking on little high schoolers with how obnoxiously free the result of this strat makes things. And Fed or Not, Here I Come isn't typically a game I would play with no vision as an ADC, but the massive shield my evolved jungle item provides means I can deep throat a bitch bind, take a tranquilizer to the tits, wait patiently for the color on my screen to AFK, and yet still make it out alive so that I could one day tell the story to my grandkids of how I then paced around and watched a 6,000-year-old toddler get butt blasted by a dragon lady and an old ass man. We received an email from the big blue boss saying that work from home was ending because COVID is just a cute memory, but I'm not a fan of wearing dress pants or leaving my house, so I opt into having a word with the boss myself, which full disclosure turned hostile, and now I don't have a boss to report to anymore. But I now have both Bloodthirster and the green bean jungle item, which according to math means I have a regenerating 700 HP shield as an ADC, which also means that the little toddler torpedoes merely tickle me while 2 right clicks has her shitting bricks back in base. Then side note, if you murder your boss because he wants you to return to the office, it won't actually solve your problem, so I don't recommend you try it. The company will just hire another one just like him who is just as demanding, and I'm not sure if murdering the new one will let you stay in your 9 to 5 PJs, but I'll let you know when I know. At this point I'm so fed. Donald Trump is basically talking about how corrupt I am during campaign speeches, which means when baby Barbie dolls poke the bear they learn what storm razor procs feel like before angry amputees make sure they sit still while I ask them where all their health went. This opens the door for us to attempt what looks like only a team of intoxicated inting idiots would think is a good idea, but I guess Towers will be on Twitter later bitching about needing a buff because I couldn't even tell one was a part of that fight. As we make all the enemies disappear, I meet my new boss who also didn't understand that I'm not going back to the fucking office, and with that I just want to say try this shit before Riot finds a way to nerf it, because even for a dog water drinking player like myself it felt pretty cheddar cheesy. Check out one of these videos, they all got shit views but I thought they were some of my better recent scripts. Rav out.